Anyway, let's get started. Turn back to my future. Let me see something right here. Make sure this is being recorded. Come on, don't fail me now. Okay. Anyway, here we are. All right. Resume my share. Toda Rabba Yahweh, Hallelujah, Toda Rabba Yahweh, the Yom Hazeh, the Hashilishi, Hallelujah. Thank you for this third day, Yahweh. Thank you for us being able to be gathered today and to be able to learn from your Torah. Hallelujah. We thank you, Yahweh, that you chose us from all the nations out of the entire earth, Yahweh. Hallelujah. We thank you, Yahweh, for your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding. Hallelujah. And Yahweh, we thank you for your family that you have gathered together, Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise be to the mighty Yahweh. Hallelujah. All right. So this is the mindset. If you could keep this picture in your head, over the next several weeks, then you should be straight. It's a beautiful place. I would love to have that experience. Let's get directly into our Torah portion. There's a lot that is involved in this in particular Torah portion. And so I don't want to delay our learning experience, because that's what we're here to do. We're all here to learn. So let's get right to it. Our Torah portion this week is found in what they would call the story of Balak. Okay. There's only just a few couple of Torah portions with names. And so I wanted to share that with you. That is very, very interesting, and the ones that have their personal names on it is when we look at the book of Bereshith, we're going to find the name of Noach. So personal names. Noach is one, and then we have Yithro. We have Sarai right here. God Sarai, about her, she's mentioned. And then in each one of these books or the scroll, you're going to find some other ones like Zavra, Emor Bakar. Okay, then you got Korach. And then you got Balak. Then you got Pinchas. Let me see if I see anyone else. No, so these are the ones. So we have a total of 6. You have 6 Torah portions that give recognition to these names, okay? And it's very, very, very telling. Interesting enough, Balak is the one that we're dealing with this week. And we may get a lot of different things out of it. I mean, you're going to find out about this Malak of Yahweh. We're going to dig a little bit deeper into that. We're actually going to talk about what, Balak was trying to attempt to do through this seer, this so-called prophet, and his name is called Balaam. But the name Balak means to be, to devastate. To devastate. Okay. That's what his name means. To devastate, to bring to ruin. Okay. That's what his name means. But he's using somebody to try to attempt to do this to the nation of Israel. And he's using whatever means that he needs to, because he needs to get this done. Balak is a continuation of what we learned last week, okay, in Kukoth. At the end of our Torah portion of Kukoth, we found that there was a group of people called the Amorites who went against Israel to try to get them, or try to go against them in a war. And so Balak had heard about this. He heard about what happened, and he got the information on. He's like, hey, these people are coming. They're a problem for us. We need to do something about it. So this, again, is with the idea of a military type of mindset. Okay, so we're going to start seeing a lot of different wars and things being moved. Let's start in verse number 2 because that's where it begins. It says that Balak, the son of Zippor, saw that all Yisrael had done to the Imri, okay, to the Ha'imri. They asked Yah, if you would deliver them to us, we will destroy all their cities, we'd kill everybody, and we would devote them to destruction, which is that word kevrem, I believe, that you had on there, koti, Pam. And so Moab was very afraid. Now, in this Torah portion, what I find to be interesting is that they're using Moab as speaking like an individual. And it's also, too, I think, in the third person masculine singular. So anytime they're talking about a nation, they always refer to that nation as a third person masculine singular. You never really hear in the Torah or the Tanakh that talks about a nation being many, even though they're talking about an individual. So just like with Israel, when you see Israel, it's going to be masculine singular. That's what it's always going to be. It's never going to be plural. It's just a different way that they were writing and explaining. Because Moab, if you know anything about Moab, what do you know about Moab? What do you guys remember about Moab? Where did this name come from? Where does this shame come from? Where does this character come from? You guys remember? Moab is one of the sons of Lot. Okay, they call him Lot, but his real name is Lot. Lot is Abraham's nephew. When Yah went in, he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. You can find this in chapter number 18, I think 18 and 19 of Genesis, where Lot tried to get his family to leave, his son-in-laws that were betrothed to his daughters, and they didn't want to go. So he, his wife, and his 2 daughters left. The wife ends up turning to a pillar of salt. The 2 daughters said, hey, you know what? Life as we know it is over and the world has been destroyed. So, what we have to do now is we're going to go and we're going to have sexual relations with our father. So they got him drunk and they had sexual relations with him. And they had 2. The first one went in, the oldest. She had a son named him Moab. Okay. The second one is called Ammon. Okay. Moab means, if you look at in Hebrew, I don't have the Hebrew up, but this first letter right here means from. That's a preposition. Okay. And Av is father. So that's what this name means, from my father. That's what Lot. So Lot is the father of Moab. He's a progenitor of that in particular group of people. Also Ammon, which we call modern day Jordan, okay, are the Jordanians, okay, over here, Ammon. And so the younger went in and it says, from my people, okay. So that's what their names are. So these in particular people are related to the children of Israel through Lot. So they're like really distant cousins, okay. And so this is where they're upset, they're afraid. These are not the only people that are afraid, are very afraid. We also have the testimony from, I remember we read in the book of, was it Joshua? I think it was. You guys remember in the book of Joshua? Rakav had given a testimony and she said that, where here, verse number 8, Joshua chapter number 2 says, the 2 men had not yet lain down, and she returned to the roof and said to them, I know that Yahweh has given you the land. Fear of you has fallen on us. Everyone in the land is terrified at the thought of you. Talking about Yisrael. Okay. Yah had made a promise to Yisrael that when he decided to have them move into the nations, that he was going to put the fear of them. his fear that's on them, that when people heard about them, that they would, be terrified and they would be literally scared and sick and wanting to die. And so they heard about what Yah has done a long time ago. Now, in this instance, in the book of Joshua, this is 40 years later when they sent those two spies in. This is when Joshua took over. Moshe is dead, and Yehoshua was bringing them into Jericho. So this was 40 years after Yah had what he did to the Sea of Suf and the Red Sea. They also knew that they left Egypt. So everybody had the heads up on Israel. Okay. So there's no question why this in particular king he's tripping and his people are tripping. All right. So where am I? All right. So that's the reason why, because they know, like, okay, these guys they just wiped out everybody. They just wiped out all the cities. They killed all the people. They took all of the oxen. You know what I'm saying? They took all the gold and silver. So we know that, we might be next. But if we can remember, Yah told the children of Israel when they first left Egypt that you're not going to take over the land of Edom, and you're not going to take over the land of Moab, and you're not going to I've given these lands to these people. All Yahweh wanted to do is for them to pass through these places. That's all he wanted them to do. And so they put out fillers and say, hey, look, we just want to cross over through your land. And these people are refusing to because they're afraid. Okay. So when this happened, the Moab was overcome with dread because of the people of Israel, because they knew that it's very highly likely that we can get routed. So this guy's trying to do a preventive measure. And what he does is he got together, okay, the Moab got together with the leaders of Midian. So I'm giving a lot of historical context tonight to really let you know what's going on and who's involved. So the leaders of Midian, is anyone familiar with Midian? If not, I'll tell you who they are. I'm going to show you who they are. Let me see here. I'm going to find it first, and then I'm going to show it to you. I have to see all this other stuff. Anybody know who Midian is? It's okay. I didn't know either until I started studying the Torah. I'm mentioning these names because it's important for us to understand that anytime you read a document such as the Torah, okay, the Torah scroll, you want to know who these people are, because it's going to be the same people that Yah is either going to use to bring about something to Israel, or he's going to use them to show us like what's really going on and within the family. It's always going to be an issue. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, great. All right. So what we have here, everyone, is like a genealogy chart. Okay. And it doesn't give everybody, but it gives just enough information to tell us who people are. All right. So as I stated earlier, here we have Abraham's line. Okay. Right here. And then he had a brother who married Milcah, and I give you the scripture for that. And then he had another brother over here, right? And his brother, and this is his brother's son, Lot, okay? And Lot had these two right here. And this is the chapter number 19. So you can find that out, all right? All these are the sons of Ishmael right here coming down. But over here, after Sarah had deceased and she ended up passing away, Abraham married this woman called Keturah, okay? Keturah is the name of his, I think his third wife, because this was his first, and then Hagar was his second. They sent her away, and then he had Keturah. But he also had concubines as well. So they don't list a concubine. They don't list the names of the concubines simply because they don't have any marital really rights. They don't have any inheritance rights or nothing like that. The fathers can give their sons of those women different gifts, because it talked about how Abraham gave gifts unto his sons and some of the sons of his concubines. David had concubines. They all had concubines. Majority of them did. And but they never counted as a wife, so they don't list who they are, unless it's for some in particular specific reason that they want to bring something out about that in particular concubine. Okay, so this in particular wife that he had, she was a legitimate wife. She's not a concubine. This is a wife, and her name is Keturah, which has to do with Ketoreth. Okay, so the Ketoreth, Ketoreth has to do with what? Does anybody know what that has to do with? Ketoreth, incense, has to do with smoky. Okay, so more than likely, this in particular wife here was probably of a very smoky type color, or she probably has some very smoky eyes, like some gray eyes, smoky color eyes. And she has these sons, and she has 6 sons. And one of the sons that we're talking about is this one called Midian. These are English right here. The real name is Midian. Okay. So this is one of Abraham's sons that is having a problem with Yaakov, which is Yisrael's sons. So all the descendants that came through them are the ones who are having problems with them. So they're related. Okay, this is Abraham's grandson right here. These are his grandsons. Okay, and over here is his sons. Okay, so there's this family tension, and this is this family thing going on. If you notice, this is always about resources. It's always about water. Like last week, we learned that Edom did not want to give Israel any water, and they didn't want to give them any food, even though they say, well, we'll pay for it. We won't touch nothing. We just want to go through the passage. And he was like, no. They went out ready to fight him. And that's one of the reasons why Yahweh says that he hates Esau, but he doesn't allow us to hate him. And I'll get to that in a second. So this family they're connected, and they're connected through Abraham. Okay. So these are legitimate sons. So the 3 sons that are in question here, Yitzchak is Abraham's son, Ishmael is his son, and then you have all these sons, you see, and then not including the concubine sons. So Zimran and all these guys right here, they're fighting for position, saying Abraham's our father. This guy, Abraham's our father. This guy, Abraham's our father. So you're going to get all your different religions and all your different customs out from these people. A lot of these individuals are the ones who dwell in the sands. They're the Bedouins. They're the ones who live in tents. They're the ones who who travel a lot. They said there was merchants when Israel was going into Egypt. They had people who were just traveling on the road, and I believe some of them were from Midian. Okay, so that's what's going on with this in particular. Here, let me close this up right quick. With this family, all right. So this is a big deal. Okay, it's a real big deal. These Midians are going to be they're teaming up. Okay, this is interesting. These Midians right here are teaming up with these guys and whoever else wants to get involved. And they're all coming against Yaakov. Esau's against us. Moab is against us. The Midian's against us. All these people are against Yaakov. Somebody want to take a guess and tell me why?
He was chosen.
What'd you say?
He was chosen.
Yes. We're the Bakar. We're the first. The Yah is chosen. We're the ones who get all the land. We're the ones who get all the blessing. We're the ones who have a covenant with Yah. We're the ones who Yah is saying, I'm going to go in and remove different nations and kill 30-something kings, 31, 32 kings. I'm going to kill these people, and I'm going to bring you into the land that I promised to give to your father. So out of all the descendants that Abraham had, it's only one family that Yah is dealing with, is this family, okay? And is these sons. That's it. Everyone else, okay? All these guys, all these Kanaz and all them, they're going to serve. All these individuals right here are all going to be what? Servants. Serve. They're going to serve. They're going to serve us. Okay. They're going to serve us. They're going to be underneath us. And so there's a underlying hatred. There's an extreme intense hatred that these people have. And they've always had it. Okay. So let me show you something right quick. You said, well, is that true? They really hate us like this? Are you serious? Yeah. They were very instrumental in having to do with a lot of stuff that happened to us. They're behind a lot of stuff. So if you get the backdrop on this, you know, we'll come back to here in a second. Let me see right here if I can go here. If we get the backdrop on this, okay, I already showed you in Joshua. Psalms chapter number 81 gives us a clue, okay, who our enemies are, right? So this week we want to kind of understand what we're dealing with, all right, and who's involved. Because throughout the Torah and the Tanakh, like I said, you're going to see these things. You're going to be like, well, why are these people coming against us? And it's not just as easy as we like to think, just say, well, they hate us. Well, here it is. Is this it? Is that Psalms 81 or 80? What is it? People no. No, it's not that one. I think I'm on the wrong one. I think it's 83. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. It's 83. You're probably heard, you're very familiar with this, but let's see it again. All right. This is a psalm of this in particular Levaim called Asaph. He says, Elohim, do not remain silent. Don't stay quiet, Elohim, or still, because here are your enemies. They're causing an uproar. Those who hate you are raising their heads. Okay. So before we go any further, I want you to know, as I've been stating, that we have, not only do we have, okay, Yah has enemies and they hate him. They hate him. They hate him. You understand? And they're raising their heads. Okay, what does it mean by raising their heads? They're lifting their heads up in pride and they're saying, you know what? I know what was been said, but I don't care about what's been said. What I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to take what belongs to us. Okay, that's what we're going to do. The individuals that hate Yahweh and they raise their heads and they're craftily conspiring against your people. The reason why they're conspiring against us, which a lot of us don't want to accept, is they hate Yah. Okay, and he ain't just talking about the wicked or people that are not part of Israel. He's talking about individuals within our own family. Okay, consulting together against those you treasure, which is Yisrael. Yisrael's a segula to Yah, right? He says, they say, come, let's wipe them out. Let the name of Yisrael be remembered no more. No zakar, no remembrance of them. Somebody tell me why this is impossible according to what we see on a daily basis. What did Yah said? What did he say about the daylight? And what did he say about the night? What did he say?
That if they could pass away, then Israel would not be, or something like that.
Yes, they would. He said, I will forget about them and being a nation. If they can count the stars and they can number it and they can fathom the foundation of the earth. Just recently, a few days ago, they rolled out a new telescope. You think it's there just because they want to see the stars? They're trying to count. They're trying to count because they're consulting. Look, you don't think they know that you and I are the people of the Most High? You don't think that they know that we're the treasure? I mean, there's even been some talk that Hitler said, you guys, The United States of America has Yah's jewels, okay, which is his treasure, okay? That's where they get this word jewelry, okay, from jewels, treasure, okay? Okay, so consulting together against those you treasure. They say, come, let's wipe them out as a nation. Let the name, okay, the name of Yisrael. So this is interesting because you got the name over there right now called Israel. This is what they have it. Be remembered no more. No exists no more. So is it really about the name, or is it really about what the name represents? Because there's some people out right now that say that they're Israel and they still exist, and they always claim that someone's trying to wipe them out, but they got a they proclaimed a state of Israel in 1948, based off the Balfour Declaration. It was in 1913, I think, or 1913 is when it first came out. So it's about the character of the people, okay? So when you talk about our name, you're talking about our character. So if we can wipe them out and we can get rid of them, then we don't have to worry about this anymore. Okay, we can detach ourselves from this promise and this oath. So the whole goal is to wipe out Yisrael. So I didn't want to tell you, but there is a what they call it, a target on your back. Okay, and they say, look, with one mind, one thought, they plot their schemes. The covenant they have made is against you. The tents of Adam. Going back to, I want you to remember these names: Adam, Yishmaelim. Look who's part of it. Moab, the Hagarim, they're part of it. Gaval is part of it. Moab's brother Ammon is part of it. Amalek, which is Edom's great grandson. The Yah says that he hates him. The Philistine, those living in Zor. He says, Ashur too is a lie. This is the same people that came in and defeated northern Israel and tried to come into southern, into Yehuda and try to take over. Look, with them to reinforce the descendants of Lot. Okay? Do to them as you did to Midian and Sisera and Yavin and the Vadi Kishon, right? So there's some things that Yah has done to Midian, and we'll get to that when we get in our Torah portion that deals with Yahweh did to Midian. I'll give you a little clue. What do you think he did to Midian?
Destroyed them.
He destroyed them. Okay. He killed every last one of their males. Okay. And also too, Moses was upset and said, I need you to kill the females too. You brought these women back. And the reason why he did this is because the Midians and the Midianians were the ones who were part of hiring Balaam to go against Israel. So Yah sought vengeance on them. These are the same individuals. They're all part of it together. They're all in it together. You understand? Even he says, make their leaders like Orev and Zeev and the princes of Zevach and Zalmunna. I believe one of these men up here, I forgot exactly which one, but one of these guys here, their daughter was the one who Pinchas ended up killing along with one of the Israelites. Because what they want to do is they want to take over the possession of Yahweh's meadows for themselves. And the reason why they want this is because Yahweh's land is the most beautiful lands of all lands. It's the most blessed. It's the most fruitful. It has the copper. It has the iron. It has the water. It has the streams. He says, this land is not like the land of Israel. Back then, you guys had to make little gardens and have to walk and go get water. I send so much water down for you that you never have to worry about go get no water. That's how much water I put on that land. You understand? So these individuals are interested in taking over the land. When Israel went into captivities, it was these folks that came in and assisted with our destruction. You can find this in the book of Obadiah. the Yishmael. Oh, well, who's the Yishmaelim? Oh, isn't this Yitzchak's? You know, Yitzchak is Isaac. That's Yishmael. The Yishmaelim is Yishmael. Yishmael is who? That's Abraham's first son by Hagar, excuse me. You see? So these are all brothers and all cousins, and they're all working together, even to this day, because they want to get rid of the name and the character of Yisrael. So you should know that, hey, but who's going to pay them back? Who's going to pay them back? I'll just finish with this. He said that may Yahweh or Elohim make them like a whirling dust, like chaff driven by the wind, like fire burning up a forest, like a flame that sets the mountains ablaze. Dry them away with your storm and terrify them with your tempest. Fill their faces with shame so that they will seek your name, Yahweh. Let them be ashamed and fearful forever. Yes, let them perish in disgrace. Let them know that you alone, whose name is Yahweh, are the most high over all the earth. These individuals that we're talking about too, they all have different gods. Okay, the Yishmaelim and Edom. Matter of fact, I just want to share something with you. Edom in the modern day, Edom today is what you would call the Ashkenazi. Ashkenazim are the modern day Edom. Okay, that's who Edom is. Why isn't this thing working? Oh, okay. Can you guys still see my screen? No,
No.
No.
it went away. Okay. Well, technical difficulty, but let's get a little bit more. All right, so that's what we have right there. But what does Yah tell us about these individuals? I want to continue with this idea about who you're dealing with, okay? And how does Yah feel about them versus how he feels about us, okay? I'm going to share something with you, and it's in Deuteronomy, and it's in chapter number 23. Just let it flow. In chapter number 23, there are some commands that Yah gives to the children of Israel before they go into, this is Moshe talking to them, the second generation before they were going to go into the land. And so what he was letting them know was who can come in and be part of the assembly of Yah. So this is about the assembly, who can enter in, what you would say, the congregation of Yahweh. So I want to begin with verse number 1. It says, a man with crushed or damaged private parts may not enter the symbol of Yahweh. That's just the way it is. Okay. A mamzer is somebody who was born out of wedlock. Okay. May not enter the assembly, which they would call a bastard, may not enter the assembly of Yahweh, nor may his descendants down to the 10th generation enter the assembly of Yahweh. So it takes 10 generations before that any of those individuals can come into the assembly of Yahweh. No Ammoni. Okay. That's what I wanted to bring out. No Ammoni, which is from the family of Ammon, and no Moavi. Okay. They call them Moavis because they're from Moab. Okay. May enter the assembly of Yahweh, nor may any of his descendants down to the 10th generation. So they get the same deal as someone who's called a mamzer and is down to the 10th generation. To be honest with you, I've been doing a lot of study about trying to figure out about these generations, because Yah says he'll punish us to the 3rd and 4th. Okay. And there's some generations that he says you can't come down till you get to the 10th. But then we also know that Yah says that I will show mercy and compassion to the 1000th generation, the thousands of generation. So I haven't really quite figured this out yet. Is it from the individual that has gone against Yahweh? Because I know it's been longer than 10 generations. Is it when someone crosses him? I don't know, to be honest with you. But I do know this, that he has a problem with certain groups of people. So we know that the Omanis and the Moavis, which are Lot's family, they can't enter. And he gives us a reason why. He says, because they did not supply you with food and water when you were on the road after leaving Mizraim. Okay. Interesting. Yah gives us when they were in the wilderness, Yah provided the manna, correct? Did he not give them manna?
Yes.
And did he not provide water?
Yes.
Okay. So when he sent us to Edom to ask for to walk past through and get some water, or let us buy some food from you, they said no. When we wanted to go through Moab, right, to pass through, no one came out. And Yah used this as a test to find out who his enemies are and what they are. And so, we also know that the Amalekites, Amalek, also attacked Israel when they came out. So we're surrounded by enemies all the time. People literally hate us. Okay. So they didn't supply with food and water, but Yah was providing food and water. So why did he ask this? He asked this because he wanted to know who they were and what their intentions were. And he wanted us to know who our enemies are. Okay. And also because they hired Balaam, which is in our Torah portion this week, about this individual. Balaam, when you think about Balaam, and we're going to keep talking about it, he's about money. That's what he's about. He's about using his gift. He was a gifted seer, a prophet, and he did know Yahweh. He knew Yahweh's name. He had a relationship with Yahweh. You may ask yourself, well, I thought Yahweh didn't have relationships with anyone besides Israel. No, Yah has relationships with all humankind. Yah is talking to different kings. Yah has had different kings have dreams. He's given dreams to pharaohs. He's talked to them and given individuals insight into who he is. Okay. So this in particular prophet right here, Balaam, he's the son of Beor, from this in particular called Pethor, Aram Nahadrayim, meaning the two rivers. Okay. Which David ends up going there and fighting these people. Okay. He said he tried to hire to put a curse on you. Okay. So this man was being used often by Yahweh to put curses on people. He was employed by the Creator. A lot of us don't like that. I thought he says, for Israel, you can't do this, but I'm the Elohim of all the earth. I can, use people whoever I want. So these other people, but Yahweh would not listen to Balaam. He's not going to listen. He didn't listen to Balaam when they try to hire him, but rather Elohim turned the curse into a blessing for you because Yahweh, your Elohim, loved you. Okay. And so, but he did tell them to never, ever seek the peace, the shalom, or the well-being as long as you live. There's some individuals in life that Yah says that, hey, these individuals can't be around me for a certain time, but also too, I want to give you the instructions forever. Okay. So we also know that right now, the so-called people that call themselves Yisrael are always trying to make peace deals. With who? They're trying to make peace deals with Ammon. And Ammon is Jordan and Moab. They're brothers. The lands are right next to each other. Okay. So he says, you can't seek any peace from these individuals ever. Okay? But you are not to detest an Adomi, excuse me. Yah tells us that you and I cannot detest an Edmoni, which is an Edom. Okay. Which that is today the modern day Ashkenazi. Why? Because he is your brother. You are not to detest an Egyptian, even though they enslaved you. Why? Because you lived as a foreigner in his land. Period. The third generation of children born to them may enter the assembly of Yahweh. Okay. And then he talks about guarding yourself when you're in a camp and when you go to war and so forth and so on. So the question would be, I had someone ask me, well, if Yah tells us not to hate an emoti, right, after all the stuff that they've done to you, right, and the things that they're currently doing to you, why is it that he tells you that you cannot to hate him? And the reason for that is because Yahweh himself hates him. Okay, and I'll show that to you. And he hates him for what he's done to us. So all because Yahweh hates someone Yah doesn't give us the same ability to hate some individuals. There's some individuals that Yah says that you are to hate them like he does, but there's others that he says you don't supposed to hate them. Okay. So for you and I, when someone talks about hating the Ashkenazim, you don't supposed to hate them. They're Edom. They are your brother. They might have a different skin color. They may have a different way of themselves. They might be sick. They might be pedophiles. They might be, weirdos, whatever it may be. But you and I are not to hold and detest any hatred towards them. Okay. Because he's still our brother. This was a masa, which is what they would call a burden, not a prophecy, a burden of the word of Yahweh to Israel through Malachi. Yah again tells us that I love you. But you ask, well, how do you show us your love? Yahweh answers, Esau was Yaakov's brother, yet I love Yaakov. But I hate it. And it's not an emotional hatred. Okay. This means I'm going to put distance. I'm putting distance between him and myself. I made his mountains desolate and gave his territory to jackals. Why? Because of what he's done. Because what he's done to his brother. You can find out what he's done to his brother in the book of Obadiah, meaning Yahweh's servant. Okay. So he loves us, but he hates him. He hates him. And every time Yah tears down what he builds up, the guy says, I'm going to rebuild it again. If you notice, when he talks about Edom, if we go back to our chart, Yah is talking about everybody that comes through his line. Okay. Literally. Okay. Which is the Amalek. He has a whole bunch of different sons. Okay. So every time they build something, Yah says he's going to, I'm going to demolish it all over again. And he says, they will be called the land of wickedness. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So the land of wickedness, that's the name of his land. The people with whom Yahweh is permanently angry. How would you like Yahweh to be forever angry with you? Huh?
I wouldn't.
How would you like Yah to say that and he says about his family, Amalekite, you need to destroy them. That's what he told the children of Israel. How would you like him say, never seek the peace and prosperity and goodwill towards anybody? How would you like that about us? He's never said that about us. Yah has said some things about us, but he never said that. So what we don't want to do is you and I need to be thankful that we're in a covenant with Yah. We need to be thankful that he made a covenant with our fathers. Because if he didn't make that covenant with our fathers, he would not remember us. We've been wiped out a long time ago. And Moshe has always going back and saying, remember Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov, the covenant that you made with them, Yahweh. Don't destroy them. Remember them. And it was because of the way that they lived their lives that causes us to understand why Yah is still holding on to us. Okay. I know I'm moving around a little bit, but I just want to kind of give you a clue and an idea about what we're talking about. Okay. So as we've seen, all these sons, all these individuals, these people that are coming against us, as I showed you, the Ishmael, all these individuals. But do you know in the book of Isaiah, all these individuals that you see here are going to be the ones that Yahweh is going to bring, have them bring gifts to the temple? Yes, he's going to have to bring gifts to the temple. Okay. All these people are against us. Could you imagine that, being surrounded? And these are the Arabs. Okay. Let me show you something else before we go. Trying to be on time tonight. I want to read something to you in the book of Micah. Okay. I want to end with this in the book of Micah. But I do want to put you up on it. On Yom Kamishi, we're going to dive into more of the Torah portion, and I'm going to deal with this Malach of Yahweh. We're going to deal, I'm saving it for Thursday because it's pretty intense. Okay. So I just wanted to set the foundation tonight and let you know like who we're dealing with, why they're going against us. You know, of course, you've read it, you know, he's afraid, you know, the people are tripping, you know, that, you know, Yah has destroyed a whole bunch of people on the way. And and by the way, the individuals that are going to war and doing these things are not going to enter the land. But since they're still with Yah, they're bound to their duty of fighting for Yah and doing what he's asked them to do, even though they're not going into the land, which gives us a clue that, you know, when we're in contract and we're in covenant with Yah, even if he passes a sentence on us like he has, we just have to accept what he says. So in the book of Micah, it says this in chapter number 5. Okay. You guys have probably heard people use this. There's a lot of Christians go here and they say that this is talking about Yeshua, right? But I'm going to read just a couple of verses for you and you'll get it. Okay. It says, now gather yourselves in troops, you who are accustomed to being in troops. They have laid siege to us. They're striking the judge of Israel on the cheek with a stick. Okay. But you, Bethlehem, meaning the house of bread near Ephrath, so small among the clans of Yehuda, out of you will come forth to me the future ruler of Yisrael, whose origins are far in the past, back in ancient times. And what this is talking about is this ruler is going to come from the line of David. This is who is coming. This is the reason why he's talking to Yehuda. It's because out of them will come a ruler. Okay. And it's going to be a future ruler of Yisrael. I want you to hear this. Come on, internet. This internet, I don't know if California's weather is making everything trip out, but man, it's crazy. A future ruler of Israel, whose origins are far in the past, back in ancient times. Therefore, he will give up Yisrael until she who is in labor gives birth. All right. Then the rest of his kinsmen will return to the people of Israel. Question, has anyone returned back to people of Israel?
No.
No.
No one, huh? No one's returned, have they? Okay. So keep this in mind. This is a future prophecy. Okay. Then it says, therefore, he will give up Israel only until she is in labor, gives birth, and then the rest of his relatives and family will return to the people of Israel. He will stand and feed his flock in the strength of Yahweh, in the majesty of the name, the name, the character of Yahweh, his Elohim. That's in the majesty of Yahweh's name, and they will stay put as he grows great to the very ends of the earth. And this will be peace. This will be shalom. Now, here's a curveball. The curveball is if Ashur invades our land, it's in the same sentence. If Ashur invades our land, if he overruns our fortresses, we will raise up 7 shepherds against him, 8 leaders of men. They will shepherd the land of Ashur with the sword, the land of Nimrod at his gates, and he will rescue us from Ashur when he invades our land and when he overruns our borders. Okay. Do you guys know who Ashur tried to invade, but he was unsuccessful? Do you guys know any of this? If you don't know, let me tell you. You guys know?
I don't.
No.
Hezekiah. Hezekiah. That's one possibility, because when Ashur came to, because remember, Ashur took over and invaded the land of Israel, the northern kingdom. And you can look this up. He destroyed it in 722 BCE. This is when the northern kingdom was overtaken by Ashur. Okay. That's when it was taken over. He tries then to descend in a military campaign to go down into the southern Israel, into Judah. Hezekiah prays to Yahweh and asks him, hey, I'm afraid. Yah says, don't be afraid. I think you can find this in the book of Isaiah, chapter number 35, I think, I'm not sure, between 35 and 37. And Yah tells him, don't be afraid of this guy because he won't even be able to shoot an arrow in on you, okay? So this is not talking about Christ of the New Testament, because when he came, he didn't rule in the majesty of Yahweh's name. He didn't have people return back to their lands, or none of that kind of stuff. He didn't do any of these things. And then, of course, Ashur didn't try to invade the land at that time because the Romans were in charge. So that doesn't apply. I just want to give you a little heads up on that. Well, listen what verse number 7 says. The remnant of Yaakov surrounded by many peoples. Okay. Remember, I think a few days ago, I told you that you and I are a remnant. We are called a sha'ar. We're that which is left over of the children of Yaakov. Okay. And we're surrounded by many peoples. In my presentation tonight, I was going over you to let you know how all these families are coming against us. All these nations are against us. They're not for us. They are totally against us. So they're surrounded by many peoples. Okay. And we will be like dew from Yahweh. Who's going to be like the dew? Who's going to be like the dew?
Israel.
Yeah, the remnant. That's who's going to be like dew on fresh cut grass. You and I are going to be like showers on grass. So when dew hits the grass, or the showers hit the grass begins to grow. Things begin to look green. Things begin to flourish. And say, look, which doesn't wait for a man or expect anything. Okay. That's what it's going to be like for us. You and I are not waiting for a man to do anything for us. Cursed is the man that puts his trust in a man. We're surrounded by many peoples, and Yah's given us a clue here to tell you that you guys are like dew. You're like the showers that hit grass, meaning like this is something that can only happen from Yahweh. A man or a mortal cannot make it rain. He can't make dew fall on the ground. So the remnant of Yaakov among the nations are surrounded by many peoples. We're surrounded by a whole bunch of people who hate us, but we will be like a lion among the forest animals. Okay, we're going to be the king. Okay, we're going to be a dominant force. We're going to be like a young lion among a flock of sheep. Okay, and if it passes through, it will trample, tears to pieces, and there's no one to rescue them. Your hand will be raised over your enemies, remnant of Israel. All your adversaries will be destroyed. When that day comes, says Yahweh, the day that I raise your hand over your enemies, and after I destroy all your adversaries, when that day comes, says Yahweh, I will cut off your horses from among you and destroy your chariots. Guess who's Yah talking to? When he says, when that day comes, I will cut off your horses from among you and destroy your chariots. The remnant does not have chariots. The remnant does not have horses. Horses and chariots are indicative of military force and power. That's what happened to us when we got released out of Mizraim. It was nothing but horses and chariots that came after us and tried to destroy us and try to surround us. And before Yahweh opened up and salvation was made available to us. So Yah is talking here in verse number 10, when that day comes. Okay. Verse number 10, by the way, I think I mentioned this to you before, but in the Hebrew text, there are divisions. In the Hebrew text, there's a division right here, and this is called a putukah. This means that this teaching from here, verse 9, all the way up is completely different from everything from 10 down. Everything from 10 down is a whole nother teaching. Okay. So this is the reason why it begins with, when that day comes, says Yahweh, I will cut off your horses from among you and destroy your chariots. He's talking to the nations. Then he says, I will cut off the cities of your land and lay waste your strongholds. He's talking to the nations, the people who surround us. I will cut off the sorceries from your land. The people who are the enchanters that you and I don't get to see, that are coming up with all kind of witchcraft and sorcerers and seers and astrologers and everyone who's all working together in conspiracy to make sure you guys don't believe that there's a concerted effort to destroy us. Okay. He says, you will no longer have soothsayers. Okay. I'm going to get rid of all these people. I will cut off your carved images and your standing stones from among you. That means all your crosses. That's all your pillars, all your obelisks, everything that you have. You will no longer worship what your own hands have made. I will pull up your sacred poles from among you and destroy your enemies. I will wreak vengeance and anger and fury on the nations because they won't listen. This is what's going to happen. Yah is going to wreak vengeance. And usually when he talks about vengeance here, okay, when he mentions vengeance here, which is called naquam, when he mentions this vengeance here is simply because whenever in the culture of our people, when someone did something wrong, like killed a brother or killed a family member or did something, a relative would go and get vengeance on their behalf. So Yahweh is saying, I'm going to come and I'm going to wreak vengeance and anger and fury on the nations because they wouldn't listen. Listen to what? They wouldn't listen to when Yah was telling them. Yah is using us to talk to the nations, and the nations know who we are. Don't believe for 1 minute that they don't know who you and I are. That's the reason why they're trying to get rid of this, because if they can get rid of us, they can seem like they think they could get rid of him and the promise that he made, and they don't feel like they have to be accountable. They know that Israel is going to be the chief of nations. They already know that, okay? In Psalms 2, it says this: why are the nations in an uproar? The people's grumbling in vain. The earth's kings are taking positions and leaders are conspiring together against Yahweh and his anointed. That's not talking about Christ. That's talking about us. We're Yahweh's anointed, and we're the one that Yahweh chose. They cry, let's break their fetters, throw off their chains. They don't like the fetters and the chains of the Torah, which means they believe we're restricting them and we're going to stop them from doing what they want to do. They don't want to have no parts of it. He who sits in the heavens laughs. Yahweh looks at them in derision. Like, what? Then in his anger, he rebukes them. He terrifies them in his fury. I myself installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. I will proclaim the decree. Yahweh said to me, you are my son. Today I have become your father. Ask of me, and I will make the nations your inheritance, and the whole wide world will be your possession. You will break them with an iron and shatter them like a clay pot. Therefore, kings, be wise, be warned, you judges of the earth. Serve Yahweh with fear, rejoice, but with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish along the way when suddenly his anger blazes. How blessed are those who take refuge in Yahweh. Yahweh is a place of refuge, and we're definitely going to need a place of refuge when Yahweh comes. And this is what we're doing right now. We're taking him as a refuge, as a resting place, as a place to get away from the storm that's coming. We're hiding inside of Yah, and I mean that metaphorically, okay? That we're taking by going into the Torah, we're saying, Yah, you're a rock and you're our stronghold and you're the place of safety, because Yah's coming and he's coming to bring judgment on the nations. I think I read a few weeks ago where he says he's going to shroom bodies from one end of the earth to the next. I think it's in Jeremiah. So Yah's taking vengeance on the nations for what they've done to Israel. And what we're reading this week is indicative of the beginning of the things that has been always happening to us. Okay. And so Yah has to avenge us. He's going to avenge us. And we'll see later on this week how Yah has ensured that you and I will always be successful when it comes to him. Our success outside of him doesn't exist. And that's something that we have to accept. Success is only found in Yahweh. It's not found in our jobs. It's not really found in our families. If our family doesn't have the structure and the foundation of Yahweh's, his reign and his rulership over every aspect of our lives, then we're just fooling ourselves. That's all we're doing. We're just fooling ourselves. We're in a battle. We're in a straight up battle. And so, this is the Torah, is to get us strengthened, to know, to Yah, to make us aware of like what's really going on with us. We often think that we don't have just the people that are around us that we see on the television are enemy. No, there's other enemies on higher levels who've had a hand in everything. You think the slave trade was just, the Atlantic slave trade? No, there's an Arab slave trade. They got to pay for that. Everybody that's ever put their hands on us is going to pay. And this is the reason why they got to keep us from calling on the name of Yah. This is why they got to introduce the New Testament, to get us to call on another name. So we can never call upon him, because they know that when you and I start calling on that name, and we start calling in him with sincerity and saying, hey, come and get us, he's going to respond. And it's the small remnant. It's a small group of individuals. It's the ones who really want to do this. And guess what? You're a part of the remnant because you chose. Listen to what I'm telling you. Don't go with the Romans chapter number 8 or 9 or Ephesians, chapter 1 about being the elect and all this kind of stuff. And that kind of business. No, Yisrael was chosen by Yah a long time ago. Okay. He chose us above all peoples. But within that choosing, there's still an option that you and I can choose him. That's what the thing is. He doesn't want a people that he chooses that don't want to choose him. It's like a husband looking for a wife. He chooses her, but she doesn't want him. Why are you with me? You understand? So that choice goes back and forth. The covenant is not just with Yah only, it's with us too, meaning like we have to do our part. So this is what learning is about. This is what educating ourselves. This is about, humbling ourselves. And this is about seeking him while he can be found. And right now he's made himself available. And those of us who have heard him, heard his voice and said, hey, you guys need to change. We're making those changes. So all praise be to Yahweh. Any questions, comments, contributions?
Well, thank you for the history of it. It helps to understand it as I'm doing my reading. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. You're welcome, Francis. So yeah, the historical perspective is very important because we get to see that it's deeper than just, them fighting with these guys. It's not a one-time account. These people have always been on us. They've always been conspiring. How are we going to get rid of them? They introduced, if we're going to see next week or this week and next week, they got all kind of ways to introduce things. So Yah's trying to tell us right now, I need to put you up on it because they're still after you. You thought it was the devil. It's not the devil. Okay. You go find out it's not the devil. That's what you're going to find out. You go find out on Yom Kamishi. Don't miss on Yom Kamishi on the 5th day. You're going to find out it's not the devil. I got some bad news. I got some real bad news. It's not the devil. It's not the devil. The devil is not who you think he is or what it is. That's why I saved it for Thursday or Kamishi. Yeah, forgive me. Kamishi, Yom Kamishi. I'm going to show you what the devil isn't. Okay. And we're going to define what the devil is. Then you'll be like, oh my, are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. Okay. Anyone else?
I have a question.
Yes, Akoti.
Is Zechariah 1:15 another reason Yahweh will destroy the nations? Because he said he was only a little angry with us, but the nations made our suffering worse.
Yeah, they went too far. They went way too far. He knew that they would do it, but again, he sent us here because he knows. See, I told you he sent us here because he's going to get them. Okay, you know all the stories about how he sends us into those different Anan and all this kind of stuff, and we see the battles and we see the fights. All that is just to show us what Yah's intention is for the world. We got a glimpse. That's not the end of our story. That's just the beginning of our story. We just got a little hiccup in the story. We're about to see something amazing. We're going to see him destroy not one nation. We're going to see him destroy all nations. And he did it he's going to do it on our behalf and for his behalf. They wouldn't listen to him. He chose us to show them, listen, don't do. Remember that he said, you guys, the nation are going to answer, why did Yahweh do this to this land? And the response was, well, because they sinned against him, because they served another Elohim. So we're sent here to show them what Yah's intention is and what he's going to do. He has many reasons why he sent. He didn't just send us here because we sinned against him. He has a whole purpose behind sending us here. We're just getting disciplined. You understand? And yes, you're right. They took it too far. They went way too far. We should have just had to, the time of being here and they could have let us do certain things. They didn't have to do us the way they did us. They didn't have to knock our teeth down and rape our men and our women and our children. They didn't have to do all that. They could have worked us in the fields like they did, but they didn't have to be as brutal as they were. They didn't have to take away us speaking and reading and writing. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to take our name and our identity from us. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to keep oppressing us. They didn't. They went too far. This is not the first time that we've been in slavery. You know what I'm saying? So we've been in multiple slaveries. And it's for our good. It's for us to learn. Yah says you learn humility through your suffering and through labor. Yah teaches us through labor. Hard labor. That's the only thing that gets somebody's attention. He said, you guys will get tired since you don't want to keep the Shabbat. I'm going to work you every Shabbat. You don't want to get to the land of Shabbat, I'm going to see you somewhere where they never have a Shabbat. You want to worship other gods, you're going there to go serve other gods. He says it all the time. You want to worship strange gods, I'm going to send you with strange people with strange gods. People you don't even know. People who won't respect you, respect your young or your old. I'm going to send you somewhere, I'm going to destroy your family. I'm going to show you what it means to be community when you get there. You're going to not have a community. You're not going to have a language. You're not going to have a culture. You're not going to have any leaders. You're not going to have a priesthood. You will have no communication with me besides coming back and turning back to the Torah and praying and begging me to come back and save you. I'm wooing you back to me, but you need to cry out to me. I'm going to get your attention. And so this is what he's been doing. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to punish everybody who's ever put their hands on you. I'm killing every last one of them, like I told you. And they know it. You think they got the satellites for whatever? You think they got all these nuclear weapons for each other? Is that what they're telling us? Is them against each other? I thought Russia was one of the most powerful countries in the world. I thought that nobody could touch them. They had one of the greatest military and scared everybody for years. The great red, the bear Russia. They've been fighting against Zelensky and them for the last couple of months, and they put a dent in nothing really. Got all the generals killed. That's what the narrative they're telling us. So where's all that power? You see? This is all a game. They know what's coming. They know what's coming. And they're telling us it's something else, and it's not. It's Yah. That's who they got all this stuff for. Space, the space military. You think it's for somebody in space? No, it's for Yah. They're dumb enough to try to fight against what's coming. They have no more use for you and I. They don't. They don't need us anymore. Everything is on computers and paperwork. There's nothing to do in the fields. There's a few things, but not much. We'll use somebody else for that. The Negro, the so-called African American, we don't need you. And then they're going to bankrupt all these other countries, right? So they don't have to worry about them either. It's a power struggle. Yah is going to have to get this world in order. And he's going to use us to do it. We're the reason. We're because. Remember I told you our name means because? We're because of everything. When there's going to be hell on earth, it's because of us. There's a plague, it's because of us. Yah built everything for us. I know I sound crazy. I know I sound selfish. I know I sound out of this world. But I'm telling you right now, everything was made for us. You should be excited to know that the stars only exist so it can remind you of the covenant that he made with us, Yisrael. Sun and the moon and the stars, for us. The Moedims and the seasons, for us. To bring Yahweh offering when he asks us. It's for us. The Shabbat was made for us. It's a sign eternal forever. He says a sign between me and you. So when I made the world, I thought about you. I had you in mind. Yes, I had you in mind. When I decided to divide the nations up, I divided the nations up according to the number of the sons of Yisrael. Deuteronomy chapter number 32, go look it up for yourself. The whole world was divided based on the numbers of Yisrael. It's because of us. Don't you ever forget what I'm telling you right now. Don't you get complacent in reading your Torah. Don't you get discouraged because things are not going well and some challenges in our lives. It's nothing. Yah says, I'm getting rid of all these things. You going through something that works, so what? He got on me the other day. I was thinking, I'll tell you about. He got on me the other day and say, look, I'm tired of the regular human emotions. I need you to elevate and go to the next level. You tripping off something small, you need to start thinking higher and higher level. Your energy needs to be on a higher level. I need you vibrating at a different frequency. And you can't be stuck on other stuff down here and things around you. You can't vibrate. You can't get the frequency I'm looking for. If you want to be connected to the Creator, listen to me carefully. If you and I want to be connected, we're going to have to turn the frequency up. That means you and I cannot be caught up in the small things. You can't, but you can't overlook the details. Look at the details, understand it, but you and I got to vibe, get a different vibe. We got to be on a different frequency. And that's what Yah is after for his people. You and I cannot be like anyone else. You and I have to turn it up and we got to elevate. That's what we're going to do. It doesn't mean you're going to spend longer time praying. What it means is that your prayers are going to be more meaningful. You're not going to be talking about a whole bunch of words. You're going to sit there and be quiet. Like Dawid, he said, make me silent. Make me silent. I don't have to say any. Did you know this praise can be silent? I didn't know this until I read the Psalms. There's a silence that's a praise. That means be quiet and just sit there in his presence. Lay down in front of him. Just don't say a word and watch what happens. Praise, because guess what? When he shows up, you know what he says? Let everybody on the earth remain silent before this great and mighty king. Oh boy, you better hear me. Anyway, you're right, Akoti. They went too far, but that's okay because he's going to go all the way.